Welcome to a new episode of Wedding Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, the team from Weddings a la Mode and Mode Events joins us with a special guest to chat about all things wedding related. Now pour yourself a drink and let's get to planning. Happy Wedding Wednesday! Just add a Wednesday to this. This is from a photo booth that we had this past weekend at a wedding, and they did not use this, so I took it. Anyways, happy Wedding Wednesday. We actually are doing something a little different. I feel like I've been saying that a lot the past couple episodes, which is so fun. But instead of having a vendor friend join us, we are going to talk with Sherdon from our Vegas team and answer some of the questions that you guys have posed to us, whether you are a current bride and groom or if you're a vendor friend. People have sent in questions, and we're also going to address questions that have come to us over the years. So without further ado, I'd love to bring on Sherdon from Vegas. Yay! Hi.
Hey, Lindsay.
Hi. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. It is like, how is it in Vegas right now, weather-wise and all that?
It got cold like a whole 180. It was like 80 degrees, and then all of a sudden later that evening it was just like 50 degrees, and it's been pretty consistent. So just like we said earlier, winter is here.
Well, it's like black outside, and it's 7 o'clock. I should know that. Like, what time is it? It is 7, because we do this every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. But yeah, we've just had so many questions come to us, obviously, because we're wedding planners, and thought it'd be nice to just kind of address some of the top questions in case our viewers are not yet working with us and they are planning their wedding. So
yeah, so I actually have some of these questions for you since you are a wedding planner. Yeah. I'd love to give those to you so we could help each other out. So I guess where do we start?
Wait, really quickly. Oh yeah, where do we even start? But we have a viewer named Dan, and he says, "Can you guys marry us right here, right now?" I'm not ordained. Are you?
Hi, Dan. No. Well, one of our partners are. Yes.
Is here.
That'd be interesting. That would be a Wedding Wednesday history in the making. Getting married here on Twitch.
Actually, Dan, if you're interested, hit us up, because we do have an officiant on staff, oddly. Because he actually was, it's not like a service we promote or anything, but he was an officiant. He's afraid to. No, it's like he had to officiate a wedding for a close friend. So now we always joke internally, like, we can offer officiant services, technically, if we wanted to, but we work with very professional officiants on that. Hey, Christine. Well, yeah, okay, so where do we even start? So that is most likely a common question, like, for anyone, whether they have a planner or not. If you have a planner, your planner will probably guide you in that direction, of course. But I recommend starting with your budget, seeing how much money you're working with and where you're getting your money from. Maybe, I don't know, your relationships with your family, but a lot of times, traditionally in the past, parents would contribute. Even more traditionally, bride's parents used to pay for the wedding, and then the groom's parents would pay for the reception, or vice versa. I've had too much to drink already.
It's too early. Well, for us.
Well, no. So the grooms would basically, their parents would pay for the rehearsal dinner, is what I was trying to say, and then the bride's parents would pay for the reception.
So, Lindsay, you were mentioning about where do we start? We talk about their budget. So if that's the case, how do we budget for a wedding?
Oh, look at that. Yeah. I would, like I said, ask your parents if that's something they want to be a part of that process. Some you might already know whether or not your parents can contribute or not if you even approach them. Some parents will likely come to you, but you want to kind of assess how much money you're working with you can manage to afford, because you don't want to go into debt for your wedding. That's not good. And then talk about with your partner what your priorities are. So what is your vision? Are you wanting a big party? Are you wanting something intimate? Obviously, due to COVID, you can't have large gatherings right now. And depending on where you live, it's even difficult to have smaller gatherings right now because the numbers are rising in most of the country. But if you want to push to next year, you can talk about a big gathering. You can talk about entertainment, like if you want a band or not versus a DJ, things like that. And then from there, start researching your vendors.
That's awesome, Lindsay. Like, I know we were talking about budgets, and you already asked, like, does your parents want to help? Maybe you have some sponsors, but I know there's
big in the Filipino world.
Yes, exactly. And they really want to be acknowledged, whether or not they helped out with napkins. I've seen that, and they really are adamant, like, you have to acknowledge our sponsors. But especially parents.
How many sponsors did you guys have?
At my wedding, probably like 3 or 4.
How does that work? Like, do you just ask your aunts and uncles to be a sponsor, and then that's basically asking for money?
It was weird. At our wedding, we asked our parents, and in turn, they asked like aunts, uncles, whoever wants to sponsor after that to even help them. So it wasn't really me directly asking. It was actually my parents doing that. So we were lucky enough. But sponsors doesn't have to be monetarily. I mean, there's just being able to help. Maybe they'll be sitting at the guest sign-in. It could be as simple as that, or just helping out putting decorative on each tables, or anything they can add to it.
Contribute something.
And they do, especially in the Filipino tradition, they really want to be acknowledged. There is a question that we have that could kind of greatly transition. Is like, my mom is driving me crazy, and they want to be a part of this, but how do you explain that do you talk directly to her mom or to the bride itself? They need to have more control.
Yeah, so I'm just going to read this. My mom is driving me crazy, and we have a year of planning together. What can I have her back off? Oh,
what can I do to have her back off?
Back off. Okay. I would say, and these came from Insta stories and also just emails and stuff, so sorry about the language, but I would say, like, okay, first, what I always say to my couples without the parents in the room is that keep in mind that the parents are probably trying to be involved because they care. Because if they don't care, they would, not be in your business. So I think it's really important to have that in the back of your brain. No, usually it's out of love. Usually there are some mothers, and I say moms because it's usually mothers of the groom or the bride. The dads aren't stereotypically as involved, but I just try to have that in the back of your mind so you can say, okay, it's out of love. Like, they're just not like a psycho. But what I always say is try to invite them to like a tasting or a floral consultation. Those are the fun things to me, so they can join in the meeting and they can voice their opinion. It doesn't necessarily say that you have to go with that opinion, even if they are paying for a lot of that. I would just invite them along to the floral meeting and the tasting, especially the food tasting. The food tasting is such a good bonding experience.
Does parents, moms specifically, they give you a hard time during some of these on the day of their weddings?
I wouldn't say
acknowledge for what they've done.
Yeah, I wouldn't say give a hard time, but it's like everyone, and I feel like any bride or groom who is watching relates to this, no matter who your family is, but everyone has something to say. The minute you get engaged, you're going to have your friend, your aunt, your uncle, your mom, anyone who's been married, they're going to say, well, for my wedding, I did this. Again, I think it comes from a good place. I don't think they're like being a jerk or know-it-all. It's just they want to be involved because they care about you. So.
Now, can I tell you a story of one mother? So I'm a DJ. So the mom wanted to make announcements every 20 minutes, telling the guests that the ice sculpture was paid by her mom, just to keep me acknowledged. So every like, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the ice sculpture. Let's give it up for mom for sharing. And that was weird to me. And I was like, okay. And I was talked to the bride. I'm like, hey, do you really want this? Because yeah, whatever she wants right now. So I'm like, okay. So anytime I mentioned the ice sculpture, I had to mention it was provided by mom. Kind of awkward, right?
How many times did you do that? It was just during dinner?
I did it 3 times. Before I had like dinner music playing, and I'm like, hey, go visit the ice sculpture, and go grab yourself a drink. I think it was one of those ice sculptures that had a waterfall with like, punch going through. And yeah, I literally said that maybe 3 times. And I literally shut off the music and said, and everyone give her a big round of applause, because she kept coming back to me.
Yeah, and I think in terms of like you're addressing things with your parents, it depends on too if they're paying or not sometimes, and of course your relationship with your parents. But even if they're paying, like I've had a bride like a year ago and her mom was paying for everything, and she wanted to be super involved, which I get because it's her money. But I think like anything in life, just having that open communication of like setting expectations, saying, mom, I really am I'm wanting to talk about the floral. I have this vision and this is what I want to work on. And then almost like divert their attention and give the mom a task or responsibility. So for mothers of the grooms, have them do whatever they want for the rehearsal dinner, unless you have a vision, of course. And then for moms of brides, a really good task to kind of like divert them is having them work on a guest favor idea or having them work on a welcome bag, because they have something creative to work on.
Yeah, moms are.
And not to say this, I feel like as I'm hearing myself, it sounds like I'm trying to get the mothers out of there, but this question is that situation,
Yeah, it's not all moms. Moms are usually great.
I would, well, if I ever get married, I probably won't have any family there, but that's a whole other thing, because there's way too many, too much drama everywhere. But I would just try to include as many people as possible. Like you mentioned, standing by the card box, not necessarily your mom, but if there's someone in your family who you can give a task to, that's it. Like my sister, I go off on millions of tangents, but my sister got married in Japan. This is like probably 3 years ago or something. And I don't speak Japanese. And she wanted to include me, one, because I was the only family member representing her side of the family there in person. But also, I think because I'm a wedding planner, she wanted to have me do something. But she asked me to stand by the card box. And I was like, Chelsea, I don't know what to say to these people. She's like, it's a box. They know what to do. They'll put money in it. And all you have to say is thank you. And she made me memorize thank you in Japanese. And I actually forgot it right now. But anyway, next question.
Security. Okay, here's one from a bride. How can I find a wedding dress?
I have
something in mind.
You can definitely have a dress custom made. That's definitely an option. I will say it's a little more pricey. If you had something super specific in mind, yes, you can have it custom made. What I was going to recommend is going to a dress shop and start trying on dresses, because you might see something on Pinterest if you're doing searches. Save some photos on Pinterest and then maybe bring it to the dress shop and say, hey, this is what I think I like. Off the shoulder, certain cuts, white versus ivory. Some people like lace versus sparkly. There's all types of textures that can go on in a dress. But I think honestly, if you're stuck, if you have no idea, I would just go to the dress shop, a dress shop near you, and start trying things on, because you'll see what works with your body. Something might look really good on Pinterest or in a photo, but on your body type, it may not be a match.
So have you ever personally helped the bride find a wedding dress or give her just advice?
Yeah, and the dress is the hardest thing for me as a wedding planner. I have awesome dress shops that I've worked with and familiar with, and I send brides to. But I remember she's probably not watching because I don't know. She got wedding like or she got married a couple years ago. But one of my brides, she lives in New York, and actually, wait, this was last August. And Vanessa, if you're watching, hi. But she had a very particular style, and I can't even describe the style, but it was like kind of funky and different. Didn't have lace, didn't have sequins, didn't have anything traditionally bridal. And she searched high and low. I recommended dress shops in New York that I knew of where I've had previous brides be super successful at. And she ended up getting her dress shipped from, I don't know, somewhere, some other country, Australia. I don't quite remember where.
But have you ever been honest and said, "Oh, that's really tacky. I don't like that."
No, actually, no. It was amazing. It was amazing on her. It's just what I was trying to say is like, it is such a personal thing, the wedding dress. So I could tell you to go to like 12 dress shops, and she was showing me things online that she kind of liked, but she wasn't set on. And she finally found one, yeah, like in a different country. I think she was traveling there. I think maybe I want to say China. I don't know. Maybe not. But she was traveling abroad and found it, and because you have to try it on, you know, or have it shipped and tailor it.
Right. For us men, just give us the color and we'll try to figure out what kind of style suit or tux that we decide. Pretty simple. All right.
Now for grooms and groomsmen that will ship you your tux. That's probably really good actually now because of COVID.
Right.
The one I work with a lot is the black tux, and they ship nationwide. And the groom will basically choose the style of suit that he wants the groomsmen to have, and the groomsmen will like do their measurements, and then the company will ship the suits to them. And it has like, you can do like socks, matching socks, pocket squares, ties, like all kinds of stuff. And there's a similar company called Brideside for bridesmaids. And same thing. The bride can say, okay, pick any dress out of this color scheme, you know, choose one. Oh, we have another question from Facebook.
Awesome.
It says, here, let's see here. Quick, the bride has fallen down a well and isn't retrievable anytime soon. The wedding is a $500,000 destination wedding that starts in 6 minutes. The only stand-in for the missing bride is portly aging. I don't know. Okay, so basically what do you do if the bride is unavailable? I'm going to kind of dumb that down.
Slow that down.
Well, you stall, basically. You delay. So if a bride was in a well, which I haven't experienced, thank God, you'd have to get the fire department, I would imagine, bring a ladder down, unless there's like a ladder on site. Ugh.
But
Gross.
yes, we learned to stall.
Yeah.
The
Which
wedding still
stall
goes
all
on.
the time, anyways.
Yeah, the only thing that I can see an issue would be the food. Make sure it doesn't get cold. Let the caterers know what's going on, and they could try to make sure that the food doesn't get ruined.
Communication. We would just have entertainment going. I've had to stall because of like hair and makeup running over, or important family members running late, and just tell everyone.
So the next question could be related directly to photographer, but let's see if you can answer this.
Okay, I'm going to see what's in my box here. Go ahead.
I know. You and your props. I love it.
Okay, engagement sessions. We don't want or need this. Can we have the photographer remove this from the package? All right, you can ask the photographer to remove this from the package. However, I highly recommend having an engagement session. And if you have a photographer that doesn't offer an engagement session, they probably do them. They just are not focusing on that. I recommend them because it's like a trial. It's getting to know your photographer, practicing how to be in front of the camera too, because not everyone is comfortable. I don't know. It's just like wedding photos you probably haven't done before, and they can help pose you and position you. And then they're not showing up on your wedding day like a total stranger.
That's
so right. I don't recommend
it. No, I'm just reading too, because Dan's like asking also his comment. So there is no food. None of the guests have mouths, but I think he's just having fun. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter what it is. The wedding will go on, regardless. She's well. The situation will have to be controlled, and let the guests know that what's going on, and they'll be empathetic with it and just sympathize that it will happen.
Fortunately, I haven't had a caterer late with food. The only thing that has been late is the delivery of like a cake or sweets or something. But like once that happens the first time, I plan for the cake delivery well in advance.
I can tell you,
that did happen once though.
I had a couple last year, and the mother passed away on the flight over since it was a destination wedding, and it was terrible. Mom passed away. Sorry, Dad passed away, and the father-daughter dance was just replaced by her brother, and it was really touching. But at the same time, they weren't sure if they wanted to have this wedding. So things happen, life happens. But patient enough, they still had a great wedding. It was really more memorable than ever. So
I don't cry a lot at weddings, but it's always the first dances if I do.
No, me with the parent dances. That's what
I mean. First dances, like groups, like first dance couple, yeah.
The only reason why I say that is because maybe they're dancing with a brother or a sibling because parents passed away, and I saw another bride with that her mom passed away, and I just saw the father-daughter dance, and all they did in the middle of the dance floor was just hug. It was
I can handle that.
Heartwarming, yeah. But that's why we love weddings, right? Because they are memorable. Let's go on with day of coordinating.
Okay. Is day of coordination you guys showing up that day? Do we talk in advance at all? I've heard of month of coordination, etc. Okay. Yeah. So day of coordination, I don't even know when. I should know. I don't know when that phrase or that term started, how many years ago. It's definitely on trend. It's a thing now. People are aware that they're day of coordinators. So we don't just show up on your wedding day with scissors saying we're here to help. But I'm only laughing because there's so much that is involved. Our team meets with couples 3 months out. There are some companies that will meet just 1 month out. That doesn't sit well with me because what if there are some like red flags or something? Like you sit down a month out, and in my opinion, I always tell couples you should just be focusing on your floor plan at that point, like your seating chart. Not the floor plan, but where the guests are going to be seated.
Right.
That in itself can be really complicated and tedious. Anyways, yeah, like what if you sit down a month out and you realize your photographer is only booked for 6 hours, but you need them for 10? Or, oh, I totally forgot that we need a XYZ thing, whatever it may. I can't think of an example right now.
But you have to be clear with the client, the expectations, what you're going to be doing that day out.
Yeah, and like 3 months out is a good amount of time to catch things, I think. A month out is like if you're catching things, fine, but you're scrambling at that point. You as a coordinator and then also you as a couple. So the term month of or day of, they're pretty interchangeable from what I've heard from my wedding planner friends in terms of what they're doing. If they advertise month of or day of, it's all similar. It's basically when the couple plans everything and they pass it on to us and we execute it. We actually call our 3 month out meeting passing of the torch meeting.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, your turn. So
good luck. Right.
We take everything and we analyze everything and see what
of course
couples have missed because there's going to be a lot usually.
Okay, well, let's see. Let's keep moving on. Is there any? Let's see. I have a question here. Holly. Hello, Holly. Oh, she had a call that bride had to cancel.
Oh.
By another fellow wedding planner. So I mean. Yeah, a lot of postponements and cancellations.
Holly from Blush and Burgundy last week.
Oh, hey, Holly.
Like she owns Blush and Burgundy, so Are you seeing more last minute inquiries with COVID? She said. So yes, it's kind of been crazy. It will continue probably to be crazy. So Sherdon, again, you're in Vegas. I'm in Chicago. Just yesterday, they announced that we cannot have indoor dining in Chicago. And a lot of couples who moved, like let's say they were supposed to get married in like March or April or May or whatever, some of them have opted to do a small ceremony with a small dinner of about 50 people. 50 was the max until yesterday. And 50 people, they're like, okay, we'll have our immediate family, we'll have a dinner at least, and then we'll have a big celebration next year. We can't even do that if you had a restaurant that was indoors. So I actually had a couple who was going to get married at an outdoor restaurant, but it'd be pretty cold. This is the end of November.
Right.
So like, yes, they could have 25 people, but it would be really cold. The restaurant was going to charge, I think, $10,000 food and beverage minimum. So when you did the math for 25 people, it was like $400 a person before tax and gratuity. And then we're thinking, if bars and restaurants are closed, like what are friends and family going to even do? And then you run into the potential of next week, maybe it'll go down to 10 people or just not.
You just don't know, right? You just don't know.
Yeah. So
here in Vegas, before they even enter the venue, there's actually a sign-in, almost a survey of some sort that the city asks us every venue to do is to, are you feeling sick? How do you feel? Have you been contacted with COVID ever? Like just literally a survey question before they even enter. So I don't know if you have that yet in Chicago.
I have not seen surveys. If anyone watching has seen surveys, I'm interested to know that. What restaurants are doing in Chicago, and I've seen, I think in Jersey, I visited there, and I've been to Vegas a couple times, is the temperature check.
I still actually have a copy of that sheet. I'll probably have to show that to you later on, but it's a survey that they request every guest before they enter.
Kind of like they have you do when you're flying. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, this says, I don't know if you can see it. This is
Where's my drink?
Where's
I
my
had a drink.
Glass.
No.
I had a bride give this to me. It's like a really good gift. I use all the time. Makes me feel cool, like an Instagram model or something. Like a cool thing.
All right. I know we still have a lot of these questions that I want to get through.
Okay. Thanks for keeping me on track.
Here we go.
What are some things that couples don't think about when it comes to the ceremony? Okay. Well, you have to have a marriage license. Honestly, couples always forget that. They're focusing on the party, which makes sense, but you have to go get a marriage license.
Anything else?
Yeah, sorry.
No, because I have another question because of that too as well for you.
Yeah, well, I'm reading comments in the Facebook feed, so that's good. I'm glad.
Thank for everyone that's tuning in through Facebook or through Twitch.
Yeah.
Holly, of course, Dan. I see DJ Style from New Zealand.
Got a few
Welcome.
People. Okay, what are some other things for the ceremony? Well, I will say, I have props too. I have like this whole thing. So people forget when they're lighting candles for their unity candle that they need holders for the candles.
You just happen to have a candle with you.
No, I have a whole box of fun stuff next to me. But
awesome.
But couples have handed us, they're like, okay, here's it's usually 2 tapered candles and a big pillar candle, and you take the 2 tapered candles and light the middle one. They've handed us the candles, but they haven't had holders for them. So I have a set, obviously, but during the planning process, we always ask to make sure that they have those. And then for your officiant, a mic stand. So you might have a microphone, but you have to remember a lot of officiants will be holding like a book or something. Whether, if you don't have a music stand or something, they'll need their hands to flip the pages. So you'll have to make sure that your DJ or musician, whoever's providing the sound, will have a mic.
Is there any tips, like if it's really windy that day and they had a unity candle ceremony, I know that happens a lot. What do you do? Just cancel the unity candle and continue that during the reception?
We have canceled the cancel the unity candle not day of, but in advance. So if couples have said, okay, we're going to be married outside and it's, it's windy, they have like pillar hours. I don't have it. I'm like, it's in this box. But basically like a glass holder. And so you have to take the lighter. It's like a long lighter and go inside.
Right.
And
That usually helps.
Solution that we had one couple, instead of doing a unity candle, they had a cross that was almost like a puzzle piece, and it was like laying on a table, and they had to like put the puzzle pieces together and it formed a cross.
That's nice.
That's kind of creative. I've seen people do the sand, like the combining of the sand. Like you pour a layer, I pour a layer, and then it makes a beautiful thing. I'm going like this because it's just so like, I don't know, it's cute.
So what, are you more of a sand ceremony person or a unity candle? Or
unity candle? I'm like traditional sometimes. It's funny. I'm not traditional in a lot of ways. Like couples will be like, do I have to have a cake? Do I have to do a bouquet toss? Do I have to do I'm like, you don't have to do anything. You really don't.
Yeah, it's your wedding, right?
But yeah, I am traditional in terms of like etiquette too. Like if someone asks me about like addressing envelopes, I usually send them like the most formal way to address an envelope. I'd rather err on like being too formal than too casual.
Well, I honestly wish I had the sand ceremony. I mean, I had the whole veil, coins, all that other stuff, but I don't keep those. But I would love to see, the sand. Like, I'd probably keep that.
House.
Okay, so moving on, because we're talking about ceremony, here's a real good one.
Oh, help. That's funny. My friend is officiating. Help. Okay. I should have mentioned this at the very beginning of the broadcast, but if you have any questions that we're not addressing, or if you want to go more in depth into these things, just email us. Our email address is weddings@mode-event.com. You can ask us anything, but I say that because we will put you on our mailing list. Oh, there we go. We'll put you on our mailing list, and this is a blog entry of ours, basically breaking down the different components of a ceremony, things to think about. I would say the first step is to make sure that they are ordained. So you might have seen online, Universal Life Church is a common website where you can go. I actually did a video blog about this whole thing. So if you go to our YouTube channel too, you can see that. But I would just first have a conversation with them, explain like if you want it to be religious, if you want it to be spiritual, if you want it to be serious, if you want it to be funny, try to like start with that. And then from there you can do some more research and we can talk to you about the different components of like legally, what do you have to do? Because there are some legal components and there are some not.
Right. And when you have a friend officiating and it's usually their first time, as a DJ, I ask them like how much experience they may have, and when they tell me it's their first time, I try to at least give them as many tips as much as possible, just to keep them at ease because they're nervous. I do mention, like, I think I mentioned that with you before, where when the bride's processional comes, usually a lot of the guests would stand up, and he would just want to keep going, and they're not going to sit down unless you tell them to.
Yeah,
so it would be really helpful just to tell your guests to have a seat and continue with the ceremony, because I've seen guests remain standing the whole time, unsure whether they need to sit or stay standing.
Yeah,
it's something as simple as that.
Oh, I see. Here, I'm just like perusing through the questions. This is a good one. Do you recommend having a seamstress on the team in case there's a last minute rip? Well, that would be awesome. Our solution is to we have like a bridal emergency kit, and it has a sewing kit in there. And unfortunately or fortunately, we've had enough rips where we've learned to do like a quick hack. So yeah, if we had a professional seamstress, that would be amazing. But
here in Las Vegas, a lot of the venues do have those like sewing kits too as well.
Yeah, we have sewing kits like buttons and obviously needle and thread. What do we have in our kit? We have Velcro, sticky tape stuff too. So.
I don't know if you know this, Lindsay, but probably be like just literally a month or two ago, one of my buttons came off, and I was lucky enough that they had it. Yeah, the venue had it, and they were able to stitch it back together. I mean, I wasn't a professional, but it held together. My pants stayed up.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I hate to say it, we've made do with our emergency kit and our sewing kit. It's not the best job, but we've had bustles break too, like loops and stuff. So we'd have to sew in loops and buttons for that. I remember what happened. Something happened where I had to sew it, but like it would have ruined the dress kind of like, she wouldn't have been able to get it off properly. And the bride was just like, just do it. She's like, I'll just cut it later. I'm like, okay. Gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm looking at some of these other questions.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I think some we already answered. Oh, here's one.
That Dan gentleman, he's a trickster.
I love it.
Yeah.
Here we go. What do I pack?
You can filter those.
Just like with the bridal emergency kit, right?
Oh, what do I pack in my bridal emergency kit? Okay. I've heard you talk about this. Can you tell us more? So yeah, we might have addressed this on another blog, or if you're one of our brides watching. So this is something that we have, your maid of honor might want to put together something as well, but our team comes with a bridal emergency kit that morning, and we make sure it's accessible to everyone throughout the day. But it involves a sewing kit, like I said. We usually have a steamer, scissors, all kinds of tape. I have every single kind of tape you can think of. I have duct tape. What kind of tapes are there? I have duct tape, gaff tape, which is like a stronger tape. I have Scotch tape. I have double-sided tape, like fashion tape. I have packaging tape. I swear. I wish I'm like looking for my bag, but and it's not in this box either. But this is the next thing. We love the bride. But what else do we have in there? We do not have Advil or Tylenol because that's always risky, like having medicine. I would hate to like.
Oh, that's good to know.
Have someone. I know. I feel bad because that's a common thing.
That's even with some of the venues here in Las Vegas. We let them know like we're not responsible and we don't like giving out.
It sucks because so many times medication. We have like, you know what? A good thing to have is in the bridal kit is a shout wipe or a Tide stick pen. We have. I have a glue gun because I've had to fix things. You never know. Trying to think of what else. I used to put condoms in there, but that was like, I felt weird doing that. I was like, I'm just thinking of things that people have asked us for. Tissues for when you go down the aisle and you're going to cry. And I always tell the bridesmaids to like tuck it in the bouquet. That way, if they have to cry, they can just take it out of the bouquet and
you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Well, talking about crying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. We kind of were talking about this already. I had a parent that passed away. What are some ways to honor them? You had mentioned a story where the father was not present and the bride danced with the brother, right? That's definitely like in terms of first dances, I've seen other family members step in. You can just omit that dance altogether, but it's a really great way to honor them and just,
Yeah, it was tough on my end because, like, as a DJ, I was still enthusiastic, but I wasn't really over the top. I just wanted to let them know we're still here to have a good time and we're still celebrating. I mean, I've had, I don't know if you know this, it was actually on the news too, either this year or last year, where the bride actually passed away 3 days after her wedding day. And it was here in Las Vegas. She just passed away inside the bathtub of the hotel. So yeah, they were a great couple. They didn't announce how, but yeah, it was being a part of it. Now it just makes me just remember because we did build that relationship working through the whole wedding process. And now I just feel so bad for the groom and the whole family, all the family. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I don't know what happens after that. But usually when a parent or even a bride or a groom that has passed away, and I think we've seen that too as well. What do we do, and what are some of the ways that we can honor them, or cancellations? Has that ever happened to you?
Because of a death in the family or someone close to
Yeah.
them. Fortunately, that has not happened. I have heard of other vendor friends experiencing that, and they call off the wedding, and I don't want to say call off, but they postpone. They just notify.
Right.
That's when it's someone really close to them. That's a horrible story that you said. I feel like I don't even know what to talk about now. But
I told you, it's touchy.
Yeah, as a wedding vendor, whether you're a planner or a DJ or anything, it's a field. Working in the wedding industry is a field that is very intimate. You get to know your couples really closely because it's such a special time in your life. And as a planner, you're talking about family dynamics. My mom has passed away. She passed away 10 years ago due to COVID. What am I talking about?
I was about to say.
No.
All right, we're out of it.
I think COVID's just in my brain. That was weird. Sorry, my wires were crossing. But she passed away, so I'm sensitive already to that. I haven't been married. I'm not projected to get married anytime soon, but that is something that I am sensitive to, and I think about it. And she was handicapped, so I always think about people who might be handicapped, how that might affect the couple. You have to think about where if they have a family member who's in a wheelchair, like how are they going to access the ceremony space? How are they going to access the reception? Not to go on a tangent, but I'm just going to throw some ideas out there for parents who have passed away. We've also written a blog about this. Any of these questions I could talk obviously for hours about. So sorry, it's taking forever to answer your question. But you can have a table set up with photos. I had a bride who wrapped she tore off a part of her groom's or her dad's robe and wrapped it around her bouquet. That was like sobbing. Any loved one, you can take a material from their clothing and wrap it around your bouquet, or sew something into your dress or your jacket for your tuxedo.
I've actually done almost an audio testimonial that she would want to say to her dad, and I played it during the father-daughter dance while he's dancing with a sibling or an uncle. So it's her voice is within the song, but more of like an homage to her dad. Yeah. So that was a nice touch too. Okay, so great.
There's lots more ideas. Hit us up if you need help.
Okay, let's go to this one. Here we go.
What are things that couple think about in terms of the morning of the wedding? What do we do for food, etc.? Okay. Well, I'm glad this person is thinking about food because a lot of couples forget about this. It's like, oh, even though it's a very special day, it is like any other day and you have to eat. So you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
That's true. Especially
now, clearly, like I said, COVID's on my brain, but due to COVID, you can't, and depending on where you live, of course, but in the past, we usually recommend going to restaurants. Like the guys, before they get ready, they can go to a local restaurant, make a reservation, watch some sports, depending on the time of year. Now you can have food delivered to wherever you're getting ready. For the ladies, you have to think about the fact that you're getting hair and makeup done early. So guys tend to just do lunch, but women will usually get like Panera or something like that, and they'll have bagels and sandwiches and soups. So one delivery that kind of people can pick on throughout the afternoon or the morning.
Oh, that's fun.
Deliveries, because that's not necessary.
Yeah, I never knew anything about this too, as far as morning of the wedding, that you provide this.
Well, guys guys have more time because they don't need as much time getting ready. So I've had some grooms go golfing even. Usually it's just lunch because they don't want to get too crazy into things. But
yeah, but you mentioned Panera Bread. I would love to have some Panera Bread if I knew something about that.
Yeah. But wait, you'd love to have what?
You mentioned about the Panera Bread that you could offer that in the morning. Like, it'd be nice to wake up to that before getting ready. But
yeah, well, people forget to eat, and then you can have mimosas if you're in the mood
Yeah, it'd have
for.
been nice. I mean, I probably maybe maybe not the only one, but I was one of those grooms that just didn't even eat it. I didn't get to eat at my own wedding.
See? Well, did you eat the morning of?
Oh, absolutely, but I was just too excited, and I didn't even get to taste the food as well. Um, so many guests. You feel like you're hosting. I mean, you're a wedding planner. You just want to make sure everything's being managed correctly. Um, so I was just more excited about that and worried about how everybody felt, and not my own uh, at my own wedding. But here's a good one, and it's probably good for now.
Do you guys do live streaming for weddings? We can't have all of our guests here trying to figure something out. Yeah. Yeah. So if you did not push your wedding to next year fully to try to figure things out, yeah, we do live streaming. We've done this already several times successfully, and it's actually really cool. So email us at the email below to get more information about this, but it can be as simple as us live streaming your ceremony, and we'll have like a virtual guest book that people can sign. We can even do breakout rooms with different table assignments, or it depends on if you want to interact with your guests or not. So if you want to do full live streaming or fully virtual, we can do that. And if you want to do like a smaller gathering with people in person and then stream out to the rest, we can do that too. We have really cool things you can do. Would love to tell you more. So just email me and the team. I'll put you in touch with our tech guys. They handle all that.
Yes, and how do you feel about live streaming? Has it been a great option lately since a lot of postponements? I know there's been a lot of cancellations as well. Is that what we
it's really nice because then you have the video to save forever. So it's like it's like hiring a videographer, kind of. It's not cinematic, but it's really nice and the quality is great. Trying to think. Oh, we've done slideshows. I'm trying to think of the videos that I've seen that we've done. Yeah, slideshows that can be played in advance, like as people are slowly joining on. They can watch that before the ceremony starts. Slideshow can happen during cocktail hour. Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, probably a question for you, Lindsay, like the whole term bridezilla. Do you believe in that term, or how do you feel about that word bridezilla? I never
I had one bridezilla, actually.
There has been.
Mm-hmm. Just once. And the reason why they don't happen, knock on wood, is because we have a consultation before we even decide to work together. So I always tell my couples, I'm like, not only are you choosing to work with me and my team, but we are also dedicating our time to you. So we have to vibe. I might be working with this couple for a year. And due to COVID, I've worked with some of these couples for like 2 years, which is fine. I love them. It's really bonded us. We've gone through it together. But seriously, oh my God, it's like I'm their best friend, and I understandably so, because I'm helping them make these big decisions.
And I've had venues and wedding planners tell me ahead of time that they're bridezillas, but when I talk to them, it's completely different. I have a great relationship, so I think it just depends on the relationships that you build, if you're even a match.
Yeah, the one groomzilla I had, it was hard because I vibed with the bride.
Right.
So, and when I say groomzilla, I think it's just communication.
I think that's all it is, because how I approach a lot of couples, I let them know like, hey, and they even point out that I am a bridezilla. This is what I want, and they tell me right from the get go, and they ask me what I think. I tell them I don't believe in that.
Yeah,
that this is your wedding, so if I just do it, there shouldn't be any issues.
Yeah, I've had the opposite too. Like I've had a lot of brides think that they were like totally crazy because they feel overwhelmed and crazy. I'm like, no, trust me, you guys are fine.
You're fine. This is normal.
I think we didn't totally vibe. I mean, sometimes personalities don't vibe, but again, we have the complimentary consultation to find out more about the couple and their big day, and also explain how we work. And from there, you usually vibe or you don't. You know, I've had only a couple of instances, knock on wood, where actually maybe just one or maybe two. I think just one where we had a consultation and they went with someone else. And they said it was financial, but we try to work with our couples. So sometimes, you know, it's not a match. And that goes for any vendor.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. We have just a couple more questions. We're actually running through these.
Oh my gosh, it's almost 8. Ooh, okay. We need to do this again.
Okay. Definitely.
Cool.
Here we go. Maybe 2 more questions.
Oh, I think I mentioned something like this earlier. Do we have to have a cake? We don't like cake. No, you don't have to. If you do want to have sweets, there's like sweets tables. I had a bride a couple years ago that had a sweets room. I say bride, bride and groom, or bride and bride, groom and groom. But they had a whole sweets room down the hall from their main reception space. That was cool. They didn't have any cake.
You still think they should have at least a cake to cut?
So that's a good question. Some couples, even if they don't like cake, they just want it for pictures. Some couples want the photo, but they don't want everyone to see. So I went into a kitchen with a couple one time. They wanted to have their cake cutting in the kitchen, just with the photographer, no one watching, but they wanted the photos.
They tipped the cake in the kitchen?
Yeah, it was a small cake, but it's like, my point in saying this is that, like, I've seen a lot, and there are ways to customize things to you and your preferences. So,
have you had any nightmare stories regarding wedding cakes?
I have one. It was in Florida, and it was a Florida wedding we had 2 years ago, and the cake, it was hot and raining, so it was humid. And it was under a tent, like the reception was held under a tent, but the icing, it was like hand painted on. I don't know how they do that, but it was painted on and it started melting. So thankfully we got pictures of the cake early on so they can like look at it. Oh, hey, DJ James. Thankfully we were able to have good pictures of it. But then in terms of like when they went to cut the cake, I told the bride and groom, like people far away couldn't tell, but I gave them a heads up. I was like, just so you know, the cake is melting a little bit, so don't be alarmed when you go to cut it. Because it didn't look that great. So.
Yeah, ours was the venue. It was an ice cream cake. They put in the refrigerator and not the freezer, so it melted by the time. So they had no cake. They refunded.
For your wedding?
One of the weddings I've done, yeah. That's probably the only
wedding you worked.
So they decided on an ice cream cake. They told the staff to put in the freezer, but that staff member put in the refrigerator instead. Yeah. A couple hours later, it melted, and they had no cake.
Man, depending on the time, anytime I hear a horror story, I always think of how I would handle it and react to that. I mean, depending on how much time they had, you'd have to call like a local bakery or shop to see what you could do for dessert, you know?
Yeah, and as a DJ, I made the announcement. All right, now we're going to go ahead and cut we're going to have cake. It's going to be brought out because it was really supposed to be beautiful, and they're supposed to bring them out. And I had to go back there and now you guys told me. So
now you probably make sure the cake is not melted before you make the announcement.
Yeah, anything regardless. And I usually tell a lot of the staff too as well, like, are we ready to go? Do you have your garter on? Do you have your throw bouquet close by? Are all the speakers, like photographers, videographers, are they all in here before I even make that single announcement? But the cake, they said they'll have it ready. But by the time they went over to the refrigerator to grab it, it was already melted. But I already made the announcement.
Yeah. Wait, so then what do they do? Nothing?
No, we just moved forward to the cake. Okay. And just didn't mention it.
You didn't say like, never mind. Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Well, that's all happening. Let's go ahead and do this. And hopefully they forgot about it. But the couple were genuinely upset.
There isn't a solution. I mean, not a solution. There's always a solution. But like a quick thing, you'd have to, I would just have my team calling. It depends on the time of night. It's probably like 9.
They were thinking about even going to the nearest grocery store that was still open and grabbing some kind of cake. So I think that's what they end up doing.
Anything sweet?
Yeah, it was just for the least to cut the cake, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
I haven't been good about my props. I wanted to show you before we only have a couple minutes, but favor ideas or little personal things. Look at all these koozies I have from weddings I've done. I'm such a hoarder. This has their name. This says eat, drink, and be married. Oh, this has a unicorn on it because I don't know. It's a fun couple. To love, laughter, and happily ever after. That's cute. And then love and tacos. I want to do like an episode where we just like grab things from our home from weddings that we've done. Do you take things from like I do?
Yep. Also, those listening into, I know we talked about officiants. Look at some of our past episodes. We had Dave Engel who came through.
Yeah.
So, and we had Holly and Kelly. Of course, if you have anything regarding makeup, I could go on and on. Just look at some of our past episodes on YouTube, and you can see those. Yeah.
This episode is just a really quick. Address things, but if you go to our YouTube channel, it's the Mode Events YouTube channel, and then we repost them into our Weddings a la Mode feed on Facebook.
All right.
We do one last one.
Oh, let's look. Here we go.
Any decor hacks that you have seen over the years? This is not like even like a big deal, but I am looking at in my apartment. I have a bunch of candles over there. So if you're doing your own candle setup, most florists do this for you and most venues do it for you. And if you work with us, we'll do it for you. But if you add a little bit of water into the bottom of your candle holder, when the wax melts, it doesn't stick to the bottom of the candle holder because there's water in it. It'll just have like a layer on the top so you can just pop it out. I have like a random candle. But yeah, so if you put water at the bottom, this one doesn't have it. This is like from the store. But if you put water at the bottom, like I would say 1/2 centimeter or something, that's something. What's a decor hack? Oh, this is weird. Not weird, but random. Costco has greenery that you can buy. And it's like long garland greenery, long garland. It's really cost effective and gorgeous. I had a bride do that. Balloons are not for children's parties anymore. So not recommending necessarily that you should do your own balloon work, but that is a fun alternative if you don't love flowers. I freaking love flowers, but I have had a handful of brides that they just don't like flowers. They don't like wasting them. So Luft Balloons here in Chicago is great. We did that micro wedding with them a couple weeks ago. Totally transforms the space. But it looks like it's 8 o'clock.
Well, thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah, I could talk forever. I say that literally every episode, especially with you. We can talk about weddings.
Well, we talk every week. So, yeah, this is actually fun. I'm just happy to be able to do this. And any more questions that we come out, we'll do this again, definitely. It was almost like a quick hour that we ever had. So, yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Yes, join us next week. We have Colin from Pulp and Ink, who is a stationery designer in Chicago. He was actually supposed to be on tonight, but we had to reschedule because, oh wait, no, he's not next week. He's in a couple weeks, sorry. But we have a award show that's happening tonight. It's like a virtual award show for the wedding industry. So, but next week we have Lorena from Food for Thought.
That's right.
Then, then we have Colin. And I think after that we have a calligrapher. So got a good lineup. Hope to see you guys next week and have a great night. Bye, Sherdon.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. And everyone have a great time. And we'll see you guys here next week.
Yes. Email us.
Bye.
Bye.